Thanks, Mom.
Aren't video games great? Well, of course you think they're great, that's why you're watching the video. Either that or you're here because you like watching my poorly executed intros. Regardless, thank you for watching, I like the attention. But anyways, yes, video games are now an art form that can be compared to movies, books, and TV shows. Nowadays, games can provoke an emotional response for the player and connect us with stories and characters much better than any movie can. They can immerse us in a believable world because of the way we interact with it. And that's why we love video games today. And for that, all our thanks goes to Hideo Kojima. All the way back in 1987, Hideo Kojima released the game for the MSX computers and later the NES called Metal Gear, which introduced stealth action in video games. Then a Metal Gear 2 came out 2 years later, further improving on the first game. In 1998, during the height of the original PlayStation's popularity, Konami released the game developed by Hideo Kojima Studios that would further change the face of modern gaming. They released Metal Gear Solid. By perfectly blending gameplay and story with beautiful graphics for its time, invented stealth mechanics, and revolutionary cinematography found in video games, Metal Gear Solid is the foundation of what games should achieve in terms of storytelling and create one of the best game series of all time. Before we start, I must warn you that this video will spoil the original Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, but believe me, none of you guys are going to play that. Nor do you have a real reason to play those games besides just seeing what all the fuss is about. So, quick summary of previous events. In order to do this, I'm going to rely on my shitty film editing skills to show you. I apologize in advance. So, you are Solid Snake, part of Foxhound under the command of Big Boss. You infiltrate Outer Heaven with your best friend Gray Fox to check out a weapon known as Metal Gear. Basically a mobile mech that shoots rockets. Near the end of the game, gasp! Big Boss betrays you! He knew about everything the entire time. So you kill him. Metal Gear 2, Big Boss comes back from the dead because Hideo Kojima said so. You travel to Zanzibar Land to kill him again and to see the new Metal Gear they made. Your best friend Gray Fox has betrayed you this entire time. He dies, you kill Big Boss once and for all, and the Metal Gear is destroyed. Yay! So now that we all took a refresher course, Metal Gear Solid takes place in 2005. Solid Snake is forced to infiltrate Shadow Moses Island, a nuclear base in the middle of Antarctica. The old Foxhound unit demands from the government that they send them the remains of the now deceased Big Boss. If not, they will launch nuclear missiles and cause chaos. Your job is to infiltrate the base and see if they have the potential of causing nuclear damage. The game touches on some serious issues like the true cost of war, friendship, nuclear deterrence, and being yourself. Games haven't really explored these themes before, and they're rarely explored now, even to this day. Now, I know you may be incredibly confused with the plot right now, and I'm sorry to say what you heard is nothing compared to the rest of the series, let alone the first game. Metal Gear Solid has the most incredibly complex stories in all of gaming, and sometimes it's borderline ridiculous. But by playing through the game and paying careful attention, you learn to eventually piece everything together with only minor headache. I actually know a couple of people that take notes while playing the game, and doing this does help a lot. But if my easily distracted mind can understand most of what's going on, then I'm pretty sure yours can too. However, this game can lose your attention pretty quickly through its insanely long cutscenes. Cutscenes alone add up to over 3 hours in total. That's incredibly long. And most of the time it feels like dialogue is unnecessary, that it's just there to make the cutscenes longer. But after much patience and further understanding, you learn to appreciate the length. It's a reason as to why Metal Gear Solid is so inaccessible and why people are so in love with it. If you pick up your phone and answer a text message and look back at the screen, it is almost guaranteed that you missed something crucially important. So here's a big tip from the wise. Make sure all of your attention is focused on Metal Gear if it's on screen. Daunting, I know, but you'll learn to love it. You will hate the Coda conversations though, I promise you that. When it comes to presentation as a whole, Metal Gear Solid was revolutionary. At a time where games were still testing 3D graphics, Hideo Kojima basically had in his mind that he wanted to create a playable movie. And well, he sure made it. While the graphics certainly haven't aged well, for its time and in some ways now, it's pretty remarkable. It's still disappointing that characters' faces are made up with 12 pixels though. The cinematography in the game is not only amazing, but was something no one had ever seen before in video games. The camera was always in the perfect position. Cutscenes look just like the gameplay and vice versa. The camera moves all cinematically when taking cover, and hell, the credits are playing as you are playing. That's awesome. It's little things like this that make the game feel like nothing that ever came before it. In terms of sound design, the game is near perfect. The score does a fantastic job setting the tense mood of tactical espionage action, as well as cranking everything up to 10 when things are heated up. Voice acting here is the best of its time, and holds up remarkably well today. Characters sound like actual people who evoke genuine feeling. David Hayter, the man who plays Solid Snake, is one of the best and most recognizable voices in gaming. Before he walks to the recording booth, he probably just chews on a bunch of gravel and punches himself a couple times in the stomach.
What's wrong?
Nothing. I just didn't expect a world-class designer of military technology to be so cute.
Every single character in this game has their own personality and is memorable. The secretive Colonel Campbell, slightly bitchy Naomi, the naive and confident Meryl, and the goofy and lovable Otacon are all fantastic characters that I love being friends with. Though I will say there are some lines that these characters say that are just downright ridiculous.
How did you recognize me in disguise?
I never forget a lady.
So there's something you like about me, huh?
Yeah, you've got a great butt.
Oh, I see. First it's my eyes, now it's my butt. What's next?
The original Metal Gear Solid also has one of the best casts of villains in a video game. Without giving away any spoilers, think of them as the Suicide Squad of video games. In the end, the best things about Metal Gear Solid is in its presentation, story, and characters. And then there's the actual gameplay, and boy did that not age well. Everyone on this planet except for Hideo Kojima calls the Metal Gear series a stealth action game. He calls it tactical espionage action. Your job is to silently wander around Shadow Moses with very little gear, doing your best to avoid confrontation. If the enemy spots you, you're basically dead. The exclamation point noise easily turns into the scariest sound of all time. You are then forced to fight and hide. If you hide for long enough and the enemies can't find you, they quickly forget you existed and they all walk back to their outposts. It's not that realistic, but it's forgiving. The only way you can take out enemies without anyone knowing is by using your funky karate moves or using silenced weapons to take out a target. Controls of this game haven't aged well though. Because the game was released on the PlayStation 1, walking around in a 3D environment using a D-pad instead of an analog stick is never an easy task. Aiming your gun is unreliable and impossible. You basically cross your fingers and hope your gun is pointing at the enemy. What is cool though is that you can look in first person mode to inspect the area. You can't walk nor engage in combat in first person mode, but it's a nice addition. And actually sneaking around is pretty easy for the most part. On most surfaces, enemies can't hear your footsteps, so you can just run around everywhere. Their locations and field of vision is displayed on a mini-map, so sometimes you may find yourself paying more attention to the map than you are to the actual game. You start off with no gear, so you're forced to walk around the base looking for supplies to continue your journey. This ranges from different guns, medicine, goggles, and yes, even the cardboard box, a series staple. The game is filled with multiple boss battles, all are memorable, but most of them are pretty frustrating. They rely on head-on action, which is hard considering the game wasn't meant to be a shooter. The hardest part of these boss battles isn't the fighting part, it's coming up with the right strategy. You're going to have to rethink every single possible thing you could do, and recheck your inventory to see what items can be used to win the battle. This leads me to the biggest issue with the game. The game is smart, almost too smart for its own good. While some of the game's gameplay mechanics are far ahead of its time, 17 years later, there are a couple things gamers my age would almost never figure out. How are we supposed to figure out that cigarettes will let you see invisible lasers when equipped? How was I supposed to know that in order to win against Cyborg Ninja, I had to unequip my weapons and fight it with my bare fists? When the game says I need to check the back of a CD case for a code, after this random guy gives me a CD, how was I supposed to know that the code was found on the back of the actual game case? This must have been extremely hard to figure out for gamers that played it digitally on the PS3 for the first time. But maybe it's just that we're growing up at a time where we're spoiled in video games. They hold our hand now, not like they used to in Metal Gear Solid or even older Zelda games. Simple fact is, games have changed. So don't feel bad if you need to use a walkthrough to beat this game, you may need it. But when it comes down to the battle against Psycho Mantis, see if you can beat it without a walkthrough. You just gotta think outside the box. The game takes around 9 hours to complete, but remember, 3 hours are in cutscenes alone. There are 2 different endings, but when compared to the rest of the series, only one actually happens. Replay value consists of replaying the game with a bandana that either gives you infinite ammo, or one that makes you invisible. The power you get all depends on the ending you beat. And you can also find some cool Easter eggs, and here's what to get you started. If you stare at Meryl for a prolonged period of time, she actually blushes, but over her entire body. This is one of the most influential games of all time. Redefining video game storytelling through cinematic gameplay, fantastic story, amazing characters, voice acting, and musical score. While the gameplay is slightly outdated, it doesn't make this game unplayable. If you want to get into the Metal Gear Solid universe and experience one of the best storylines in gaming history, you have to start here. This game was released originally on the PlayStation 1. It has been ported to the PlayStation 2, available for download on PlayStation 3, and has had a fantastic remake for the GameCube called The Twin Snakes. You can download this game on your PlayStation 3 for $6, or you can purchase the PS3 exclusive Metal Gear Solid Legacy Collection. For $50, this comes with everything you need. Metal Gear, Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, Metal Gear Solid 4, and Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, all in one box. Can't ask for a better bargain. Metal Gear Solid receives a 9.25 out of 10. Thank you for watching Bathroom Gamers. Future videos on this channel include the Resident Evil Remake of a Remake review, Apotheon for PlayStation 4, which by the way all PlayStation Plus members get for free this Tuesday. There will also be the new Nintendo 3DS XL review, and PlayStation 4's exclusive The Order 1886 review. Comment below and tell me what you think of Metal Gear Solid, as well as what videos you want to see in the future. Thank you for watching, and stay fresh.